This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. Art is a part of our culture. When you think back years, decades, centuries, it has inspired us. So it's always refreshing when you go somewhere and you see artistic pieces or just designs that are done with an eye on art and graphics. Now take that and put that into a commercial space. What does that look like? I'm sure a lot of those things you appreciate, but you don't even realize that it's art. We're going to talk about that today. She's an amazing designer. She and her team do so many different commercial spaces with MSA Interiors. She's Marcy Sagel. She's back on the program. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you.
I am trying to think of places I've been recently, commercial places and spaces where there is art. Like I'm trying to think of, was I in a hotel and did they have a display and I get little flicks of things like in a hotel lobby, they might put, a piece there. There's one in, where was it? Fort Lauderdale, Margaritaville Resort. They had some really cool sculptures, on the ceiling and everything. But I think just like everything else, we take it for granted. What do you think?
Definitely. I mean, it's a very large part of design, both residentially at home and also in a commercial space. If you design your home, for instance, and you put no art in it, it doesn't have any sort of personal feeling. It doesn't have any sort of connection to you. And, if you just stick furniture in a room, it's just furniture in a room. So you have to add, even just the pieces behind you, pieces behind me, you have to add things that feel personal to you. And when you're doing a commercial space, you have to pick things that will commercially appeal to a larger audience and a larger sort of age span. And you have to pick things not necessarily that you might like, but the client would like, and ultimately the people living there will like.
See, that's the challenge, because every piece of art has a story. I'm sure the two pieces behind you have a story. You didn't just grab it and throw it up on the wall. There's a reason you did it. Actually, before we continue, what's your story?
So I have a lot of art in my office. I have a really, you can see I'm in an old church. So we bought an old church, which is where our office is. So it has stained glass windows everywhere, lower, upper, every single one. I have a giant front of the church window looking out of my glass door here. It's great looking. So I have a lot of retro art in my office space and a lot of abstract and contemporary art. In mine, I have a lot of black and white because I wanted something simple that worked with the stained glass window
and didn't take away from it.
Exactly. And it's authentic to its period. So it's from 1842, and they have an acrylic piece in front of it for the cold. And protection, both. So they've all been preserved and restored, and then it's got sort of that. They weren't insulated, so you needed another barrier for cold and heat. Sure. So that's what they have. But my office, I collect a lot of photography. I love photography. So I know everyone collects it now, but I've actually been collecting it for a long time. Slim Aarons, right out of the 70s. I feel like it was my childhood, basically. I played a lot of tennis growing up, so I have literally a 70s tennis picture over here that, is it reminds me of my childhood. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I have it.
You just inspired me. Because I moved a few years ago and I got stuff up on the walls and such, but in my home office, I never really finished it. And like 2 days ago, I opened up a drawer and I found these original comic strips that I collected when I was a kid. I wanted to be a syndicated cartoonist. And I was like, I'll put them up, but I also have, some tropical pictures. I love that. And pictures I took. But, I'm looking at these now and I was trying to find a reason to put them back up. But you just nailed it. Remind you of your childhood. Like I would walk up to these And I was grateful that cartoonists would send me original art because some of them like Charles Schultz Peanuts, he doesn't send stuff out because you could sell that for thousands, even back then when I was a kid or a teen. But I used to stare at them for hours, just looking at the lines, how they drew them, if they made a mistake, how they corrected the mistake. I'm putting them up before the week is over.
And they're so fascinating. Like anyone would find those fascinating, and you would
Right.
have a personal sort of attachment to it,
Right.
which is really inspiring and really great. And when we do commercial spaces, it's the same kind of thing. Each space is designed for a specific audience of people,
Yep.
and we really try to make the art represent what that space is and what kind of feeling it's supposed to evoke. So we have very large scale artwork that we do, and then we have smaller, like what I call gallery walls, like above, like let's say a whole big boring set of mailboxes. We might do a whole gallery wall above it with sculptures and some multiple pieces all hung within a sort of layout that kind of is framed within a certain area. Those things make it more exciting. People stop, they look at it, it photographs well, it's inviting, it makes the space feel more inviting. So that's what we're looking at doing. And so the other thing that I would say is, if you're a person looking to pick art and you don't know where to start, the best thing to do is to, first of all, you can pretty much get anything online now, but to decide what direction appeals to you. Is it abstract? Is it a landscape? Is it more figural? Pick something that appeals to you, whether it's a subject matter or just a feeling. And then start looking at some pieces that are going to fill maybe one wall, two walls, and start to understand what your likes and dislikes are. And then you can pick starting from there. And
When it's personal, it's
yeah,
easy or easier. But
exactly.
when you're doing a commercial space, Marcy, how do you do that where you have to almost predict what the audience, the demographic is going to like? Now, I mentioned a resort, a tropical type resort in Florida. Kind of easy there. They've got their brand, they've got their colors, the sculptures, the art is going to be that kind of vibe. So yeah, I take that, put that over the side. But when it's just the lobby of a hotel, how do you make that decision?
So, again, depending on the decor, is it going to be modern? Is it going to be transitional? What are we making it? Is it going to be filled with antiques or modern collectibles? All of those help decide what direction of art you're going to go into. And each space can be different, doesn't have to be the same. As a matter of fact, we prefer it to be different. So we're looking at art that not only has to appeal to us and the audience, but the owners are the ones selecting, meaning making the final decision. So when we're showing them art, we're showing them pages of options for each space and showing them maybe an elevation of what that would look like in that particular space so that they can help make a decision. Not everyone always agrees. Okay. Sometimes I look at art that my designers do and I'm like, oh, I do not like that. We are not showing that to the client. That is just not something I want to see in 10 more years from now.
Hmm.
Same with like lots of sculpture pieces that go on a wall. I mean, I'm not like, I don't want to see something that everyone is using. I want to see something that's a little bit different. You know,
So that being said,
yeah.
how do you, well, okay, we talked about shelf life and things like that. What about art? Does it ever get old? I mean,
Oh yeah.
people may get tired of seeing the same stuff there. And would you refresh it and then bring it back? Because I've heard that many designers suggest, like in your home, swap it out seasonally, put that stuff back up again, sort of like holiday decorations.
So in a commercial space, we try to pick things that have a good, like long, strong time frame. And art typically has a very long life. Okay. I have pieces that I've had in my home my entire adult life because I've been collecting for such a long time. And they never get old and I never get tired of them. All I do is move them maybe around as I've moved houses, I've moved them into different spaces, having a little bit more sort of exposure, like when you first walk in or going up a stairwell or in my living room or in a kitchen for pop of color. I have a lot of modern art. So in spaces of amenities, it's the same thing. You want people to feel like it's their home, okay? Which is what we're doing. That's the same thing you feel in a hotel lobby, is the same thing you feel in an amenity space of apartments. You want to feel like you're walked into this great space that is super high level, so that you're proud to bring people through and you're parading them through the space as if it's your apartment. So it's something to keep in mind. And when we're picking these things, we like to do very large scale pieces of art because they evoke a higher level. Like when you walk into a hotel and you see these large pieces, it's the same thing with an amenity. These large scale pieces really look expensive and they feel high end.
Funny you should say that, because when I referenced that, and that's the first thing, I've been in a bunch of different hotels in the last year.
Yeah.
That's the one that stuck out for me. And it was just a weekend at the Margaritaville Resort in Lauderdale.
Sure.
But why did I pick that one? Because in my mind, as I scanned hotel lobbies, and now it's on my radar since we met. That's what I look for.
Sorry.
It's okay. I think it's fun and it's cool. There's a big piece, and it's a blue, like a royal blue sculpture. Huh? And it almost divides an area, and it's kind of glassy and it's big. And I see it in my mind as I was referencing it. Why? To your point, modern, bold, big.
Right.
Wow.
And it is a focal point.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of other times now we look for focal points because everyone's Instagramming everything. And so we're looking for photo moments within these large scale spaces, indoors and outdoors, by the way, with sculpture and art. So regular painted pieces that we have made to size, or sculptural pieces that we have made to size. And we do it all the time. And, you can get bold, you can get really loud with it. And there are photo moments. People really, really take advantage of, Instagramming, influencing, showing pictures. That's what they're doing. So
I never thought of that, but that's exactly what I did. I was with my daughter, and this, she would have been like 13, 14, this, a few years ago. And I remember taking a picture in the lobby, and other people, of course, did the same thing.
Sure.
But when you tell somebody, yeah, all right, well, be there at 2:00. I'll meet you by the big blue thing.
Right.
By the big blue thing. It's so weird.
And for large scale hotels, especially like in Las Vegas, I mean, how many times have you said, I'll meet you in front of the center sculpture, which, by the way, are Chihulis just about everywhere. Excuse me. And so, there are all these large glass sculptures that look like flames and flowers and all kinds of things that are very bold. And people thousands of people a day take pictures in front of those things.
What about the value? Oh, yeah. So how do you decide what you're going to spend or suggest a client spends? And if there's value there, what about if it breaks? I'm thinking about this big glass thing. How do you take that into consideration?
So we typically don't put glass in an apartment building. We typically would make it metal or, or painted material, whatever it is that's sort of non-breakable, only because, unless it has sort of a barrier that people can't get near, like in a lot of the Las Vegas hotels, those center things have sort of a bump out around it that you can't get to it right against the piece. So you're not going to break it. Same thing. We would put a barrier there. And then as far as value goes, we give an overall budget for art for an entire project. Basically, we're very good at budgeting. So we would know that, let's say you have 30, 40,000, sometimes 75,000, whatever it is. That's your overall budget for all of your public spaces. Let's say you've got to divide it up, figure out where you're going to put the most bang for the buck, figure those big pieces out first, and then fill it in with less expensive pieces around the rest of the spaces that are less public, less appearances.
So what I'm gathering from you is you pick one focal point piece of art or sculpture, whatever it's going to be, and you put it there, but you do it in such a way that there is some I hate to use the word isolation from the public so it doesn't get, trashed.
Sure.
But then around it, you put other stuff, that matches or complements.
Yeah, and the rest of the spaces, maybe like the adjacent, space or the corridor that gets from one space to another. You have to put something there. So otherwise you're having bare walls. And so, I've had projects that have installed where the art hasn't installed when we install the furniture, and it looks super barren. And then the minute you put the art in, you're like, oh, it's just come to life. Everything sort of like sings, and you're really excited about it because it all works together. So it's the same thing with your own personal space. If you just had the blank walls, or one piece up, it doesn't feel connected. It doesn't feel finished. And so it's the same thing with a public space. You really need to think it through, pick pieces strategically within your budget, and move forward from there.
Since I moved, I sort of became a minimalist. Like once you move from a house, and I'm in between, when the right situation comes up, but right now, the supports. I put stuff in storage, got rid of it, sold it, whatever the case may be. And I put up, holiday decorations. And now I took them down and I'm looking, at my fireplace mantle and all of that. And I'm like, it's kind of like boring and bland. Yeah. So I didn't realize it until I had stuff up around it. So now I'm looking at it as like, we got to add a little bit more, even a sculpture here, a sculpture there. Don't want to overdo even the mantle. And I have to be mindful. I have 2 cats and a dog, but one of the cats likes to climb up on things. So if it gets knocked over, got to be careful about that. But would you say commercially or even in a residential space, you can get this done with all different budgets? You could spend a lot and really do it up, but you don't have to spend so much to get a nice impact. Is that possible?
It's not only possible, we do it probably 99% of the time. So every single job has a different budget. And with the construction cost having gone up so much, our budgets for furniture, art, and accessories has really been getting reduced over a period of time. So, it's equally important to use accessories as it is art. And even if you're a minimalist, you strategically pick things that are very simple, but still important to have that little like stack of books or couple books, coffee table books, with maybe just a piece of something on top of it, whether it's a piece of glass that's heavy enough that the cats don't knock over, or it's just a little dish, that is modern and speaks to the rest of the space. Looking at those little things, you can get things. I go to resellers, I'll call them estate resellers and auctions all the time for everything. Okay. And I've gotten so many people hooked on some auction sites. And then we have a place here, where I live, that every designer sells everything coming out of a space, and everything's for sale. So they have a million accessories. I don't think I'd buy art there, but they have great retro accessories that you can't even find anywhere else. That's really, really fun.
I'm side note, I'm listening to you and I never realized it, but you have this warm reverb in the background of your voice, and it's the church. Yeah. It is just stunning. And now I see that you have the stained glass, amazing, charming, beautiful. Just there's no words. It's just the light the color alone is great. The light that comes in, but I can't imagine color on the wall because it would detract from that stained glass. So spot on with what you did there with the black and the white. It's perfect.
Yeah, the whole office is white, funny enough. So all of our desking's white. Everything's very simple with lots of abstract art, like color, black and white, whatever it is, but it's very simplified.
So real quick, almost out of time. They just handed me, we got an email from, I guess, a couple of times when we got together in the past, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. This is Justin in Chattanooga. He says, I'm the regional manager of a bank in Tennessee. And he's asking, when you redesign a commercial space, what is the anticipated longevity of the design?
So we like to say good design should last at least 10 years. Okay.
Okay.
In the business, they say 5 to 7 years. And the thing that you would update most and more frequently is art, exactly what we're talking about. Replace the art. And if there's any soft goods, you would replace some of the soft goods, meaning any of the like upholstery. You might replace a chair or a sofa or that kind of thing. But in a bank situation, art can be replaced and flooring. You want things to be current. And when I walk into banks and I go into banks looking at things very differently than other people, I'm looking at where is the area that you're walking into? Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel inviting? Where are the private offices? Where's the commonality of stuff where you can fill things out? And how is the bank laid out? And does it feel safe? And does it feel clean? Because I know that doesn't sound like something important, but it's important to know where, like if you're going to have a security guard in the bank, where's that security guard going to be stationed? Where are they going to be seated? You've got to think about all of these things when you're laying it out and you're renovating, because things have changed a lot over time periods. And we've worked with a lot of banks. So you really have to think about the flooring, the walk-off mat as you walk in from the outdoors to the inside. And you have to think about the lighting, and you want to think about making people feel like they're welcomed to go up to the teller station. And, you've got to really be thinking some of that out.
I would imagine that it needs to be as inviting as possible, because most people, a lot of people don't go to banks anymore. Everything's online, direct deposit, et cetera. I love not only your attention to detail, but the functionality. Like, it's so cool. As you're saying it, I feel like I'm walking through a bank and I'm looking at everything now, even though I'm not. I'm just doing it from memory of the banks that I've been to. Love it. MSAinteriors.com. That's your website?
Yes, that's it.
Beautiful. Marcy, thank you so much for today. Always fun talking with you. And today, for anybody, even not commercial space, for all of us, we can kick it up with some art and some accessories. So I appreciate it.
Have a great week, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.